battling your own fears and so on.
Sure.
For a group, though, the metaphor that I like to think of here is that it's as though you're creating a large soap bubble. It's a real structure. It can persist in time. It has a certain shape, but one pin will break it. And the pin, in the case of a large group of people, is one person thinking, you know what, this is stupid. That will break the coherence. And this is one of the reasons why we see small effects in the laboratory with one person, you'd expect, well, if you have 1 million people, maybe you'll get something 1 million times bigger. And you don't get that. And as I said, I think the reason we don't see effects that are massively bigger is that it might be a nonlinear effect to begin with. But even if it wasn't nonlinear, all you need are a couple people out there who are acting like pins, and they break the soap bubble.
Is that kind of analogous to a medium who will have a group of people in a circle holding hands, and one of them is going, this is just so much bull, and that affecting the outcome?
Absolutely. Yep, we see it all the time. And for 40 years, we've known in parapsychology something we call the sheep-goat effect. And the sheep-goat effect means that the sheep are the believers and the goats are the non-believers. And so if you take just a random group of people and you have them do an ESP test, and then you separate them according to their prior belief, the sheeps and the goats, you very predictably will get people who are the sheep getting positive results, and the goats will get negative results. So it's your prior belief about what you expect or what you want to see which strongly modulates the results.
And, of course, all of that is tough stuff for a scientist looking at all this, because they're going to say it's got to have repeatability, or we don't want to look at it.
And ironically, we do have repeatability of the sheep-goat effect.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
In addition, being skeptical is different than not believing. You know, I'm skeptical when I do these experiments. You have to be, otherwise you're not doing science right.
Right.
But I can suspend my disbelief just like I do when I go to the movies. You know, I'm not suspending my critical judgment. I'm saying that when you do an experiment, you set up all of the conditions in such a way so that you're pretty sure that you're doing it under proper controls, but you also allow for the possibility for something to occur. And that's quite different than than maintaining a skeptical attitude in which you're really wishing secretly that it's not going to work because you don't want to see it.
Just a couple of hardware questions. I mean, does this little box, I've never seen it, I don't know a thing about it, does it interface to a computer like with a USB cable or something like that?
Yeah, it's a little box about half the size of a cigarette package with a USB cable. You just plug it in, a little blue light turns on, and it's going.
Wow. All right, another inquiry. What kind of, how much is something like this? Can I ask?
I don't know. I think it's a few $100s. You know,
okay.
I'm not part of the company, so I don't pay close attention to that. But I think it's a few $100.
Have you had the opportunity to, excuse the expression, play with it?
I have, yes. Yes, I play with it. In an experiment that I'm running now, I actually run one of these boxes in the background as a secondary measure for a mind-matter interaction effect. So, yeah, so I've used it. They also have a couple of other products that also are based on randomness, which you can find when you go to the website.
Oh my goodness! Well, I really want one. Have you seen people? Let's see. What can I ask? Have you either personally or seen others attempt to affect this? Have you used this in conjunction with other? What am I trying to ask? Have you verified that it works? I guess that's the way to ask it. I don't know.
Right. The device is based on the same original patented design that was produced by the Princeton lab. And we've used many different kinds of random devices over the years, built by numbers of different people. All of them seem to work. And so in other words, there's nothing magic about this particular circuit. The importance of it is that it is a truly random device, truly random hardware device, and this is that.
Yeah, and it's available for people to to buy, and I hesitate to use the word play with, but I guess that's kind of what you do. In other words, you can sit there and try and affect its randomness, or try to cause it to be less random, and you would get an indication that you were successful. That's really exciting stuff, and I just found out about it. From Manila, I'm Art Bell. It is good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever. We've got Dean Radin, and this is very exciting. There is this device, and I promise you two things. One, I just found out about it. And two, Dean Radin is not in any way affiliated with the company at all. And yet they have decided to give discounts for this product to people who use the code word Art Bell, my name. And their website, if you want to take a look at it, perhaps if they're listening, they'll put a link up on our site to it. But again, we're not in any way connected to them. Is www.Psyleron. That's PSYLERON.com. Once again, www.PSYLERON.com. And I just now myself took a look at it, and I see the device in front of me. And if you read the overview of the device, you will discover that it is simply a random number generator, but when hooked up to your computer, it gives you a graph readout of what's going on moment to moment. It's absolutely fascinating. And again, this is very, very important. I'm not connected with them in any way. I just found out about it, nor is Dean Radin. So it's a product. Somebody was smart enough to turn out a product based on the research that Princeton did. And you could, I suppose, use this in an ongoing project at home to monitor consciousness in your area, in the world, and you could attempt, much as we had kind of a game a few years ago, where you attempted to affect a picture in front of you, which was I guess a kind of a random number generator. But this will give you a graph readout, in real time. And you can see whether you are able to affect it. In other words, you can go into a state of concentration and try to affect it. It's fun stuff. So pretty exciting, I would say. Dean Radin will be back in a moment. Okay, welcome back. Welcome back, Dean.
Thank you.
It's really exciting, Dean, and now I want one, and getting things from there to here is very hard. Boy.
I'm sure you can get one.
Yeah, I'm sure. Absolutely fascinating. I'm glad somebody picked up on it, and that's just amazing, and made themselves, I hope they make themselves some money, I guess.
Yeah. It's worth keeping in mind that the effects that we see in these experiments with random generators, we're pretty darn sure that they're real, because we have about a half a century of data now. But they're pretty small. It takes a lot of repeated trials, just the right frame of mind to get an effect. So we're not talking about something like a psychic switch at this point, but it's a valid research instrument, and I at least have fun using it.
I can well imagine. All right, there's so much to ask you about. Lynn Taggart's intention experiment, for example. Is it working? Do you think the efforts they're making, I think there's something called the Million Nurse Global Caring Field Project. Tell me about that.
Yeah, there are a number of people now who, partially inspired by the idea of the Global Consciousness Project, that there's a way to measure something. Many people are creating million-person meditations and the equivalent. So Lynn McTaggart, who's the journalist who wrote the book The Field, started this project that she called the Intention Experiment, in which she's gathering a few tens of thousands of people who are targeting specific kinds of targets simultaneously, things like the growing of seeds, to see whether or not all those people intending the same thing at the same time get an effect. And there is some evidence that collective intention does have a measurable effect. Again, these are not wildly significant. We're not seeing people levitate and that sort of thing, but we are in sensitive systems, we are seeing changes that are consistent with what the intentions are. And I've done similar studies with water as target, and with food as targets, and we see effects there as well with people with strong